Welcome to the Boxing Gossip channel. Please hit subscribe if you are new. It's nearly time. Just watch the weigh-in. This is an instant reaction video to the weigh-in. Now I can't be the only one who was, really pumped up for the fight. Having just seen this, you had Michael Buffer in the house. You had really substantial crowds for the weigh-in. You had the guys almost doing ring walks, with their entourages, with their entrance music, as they made their way to the sort of main stage to weigh in, if you like. A good level of intensity between both guys in the stare down, but a good bit of respect as well at the end. Joshua turned away, offered his hand to Parker to shake hands, and I like to see that. These are not guys who are necessarily trash talkers. These are not guys who are massive guys for beef leading up to a fight, and it's kind of good to see that level of respect from my perspective. Let's talk about the weights, because I guess that is the most important thing. Both guys weighing in substantially lighter than their previous fights, and I think that's an excellent thing. Long-time viewers for this channel will know that I have said that if both guys come in light, we could be up for a real exciting fight, because at their best, these are two very athletic, agile heavyweights who can punch hard and fast. But in recent performances, we've seen them both come in just a little bit heavier, and we've seen them maybe look slightly flat compared to the performances as they were coming up through the ranks. Certainly when Parker fought Razvan Kajanu, when Parker fought Hughie Fury, he looked a bit less explosive. He looked a bit less athletic than the guy we saw coming up through the ranks. You could say exactly the same thing about AJ when he fought Carlos Takam. A slightly more stationary, a slightly more plodding performance. So I thought it would be to both guys' benefits to come in slightly lighter, and I thought overall the fight becomes a lot more exciting, and potentially you're in line for a much better fight if the guys come in a bit lighter. Let's start with Anthony Joshua. Joshua weighed in at 242 pounds. Now against Carlos Takam, he weighed in at 254 pounds, so he is 12 pounds lighter than Carlos Takam. If you're watching in America, if you're watching in America, it's 12 pounds. If you're watching in the UK, best part of a stone. If you're watching in New Zealand, over 5 kilos less. Against Vladimir Klitschko, Joshua was 250. Against Eric Molina, Joshua was 249. 242 pounds is the lightest that AJ has weighed in since when he fought Michael Sprott back in 2014. This is the lightest AJ we've seen since 2014, and for me that's a good sign. Number one, it shows he's taking Parker very seriously indeed, and number two, it potentially shows that he is learning from past performances. Just because he beat Carlos Takam, he isn't coming with exactly the same attitude again. He isn't coming just to repeat the Carlos Takam performance. Maybe he's looked at that, he's had a chat with his camp about what he could do better, and they've made a strategic decision to come in lighter. So I give him props for coming in lighter, and I think 242 pounds will be a real good fighting weight for Anthony Joshua. Some of the weaknesses we've talked about, AJ maybe being slightly plodding in the movement front, maybe having a tendency to gas and for his stamina to drain if he takes a punch. Maybe this will have a positive impact on that. So yeah, I give Joshua some real credit for 242. Similarly, I give Parker credit for 236. Parker came in at 245 pounds in his last fight against Hughie Fury, and has been over 240 for fights against Razvan Kajanu, Andy Ruiz, Alexander Dimitrenko. This is his lowest weight since he fought Solomon Hamono and Carlos Takam back in 2016. So Joshua is actually the one out of the two who looks like he's lost the most weight. And Joshua is the one out of the two who is coming in for the lightest weight since 2014, whereas Parker's coming in from the lightest weight for 2016. But they've both lost a relatively similar amount of weight. AJ is a marginally bigger man than Joseph Parker, so possibly it's easier for him to shed a few more pounds. And just like I've said with Joshua, I think Parker coming in at 236, give or take, is a much better fighting weight for him. The kind of fighter he's going to need to be in this fight: fast, agile, able to come in and out, able to put crisp, clean combinations together. I think having those extra pounds off him will be to his benefit. So I think it's really, really good. During the stare down, I guess you have to say Anthony Joshua, clearly the taller man by a couple of inches. You'd also have to say, to the naked eye, Joshua is the guy who appears in physically better shape. You know, if you were talking about which one of these two is going to be a cover model for a Men's Health magazine, you'd have to say that Anthony Joshua is. But I don't really put too much stock in that. I know some people get all excited about that. For me, having a six-pack isn't necessarily an indicator of being the better fighter, and I think a lot of it comes down to genetics. Yes, a guy like Joseph Parker can possibly be mega fit, he can be mega in shape, but he's still going to carry a level of body fat more than a guy like Anthony Joshua potentially. So I don't put too much stock in that. I think these are healthy fighting weights for both guys, and my perception has always been in the lead up to the fight that out of the two, Parker might be the naturally higher stamina fighter, and I don't think that's determined by who's got a six-pack and who's got less body fat on them. Sometimes those muscles, as we know, can work against you. The lactic acid can build up and it can become hard to throw the amount of punches you need with the intensity you need for 12 rounds when you're carrying around that much muscle. So I don't put too much stock in that. Parker is a smaller framed man than Joshua. He's shorter. The suggestion is that he will have a substantially shorter reach than Joshua. He's not only a smaller man, but he's got much smaller arms, and that's potentially relevant because I've always said in the past that Joseph Parker's potentially a fighter who's at his best when he can box, he can get his jab going, he can throw long distance combinations. Against Anthony Joshua, he maybe needs to be careful adopting that approach, because obviously what he doesn't want to be is the smaller man with the smaller reach, trying to get into range but standing at AJ's perfect 3/4 length range. So I think Parker coming in light is very key, because I think he's going to need to use his feet in this fight. He's going to need to be out of distance, he's going to need to be explosive, and then he's going to need to be into distance. What he can't do is stand off Joshua and allow Joshua to tee off on him from 3/4 range, given the advantages Joshua has in size, and given really that complements AJ's style. So yeah, good way in. Good to see both guys coming in light. I do think these are fighters whose performances are influenced by weights. We've seen them both change weights substantially since they entered the pros. Looking at Anthony Joshua, he made his, if you look at Joseph Parker, should I say, he's fought before, 226 pounds. We've seen him up at 246. If you look at Joshua, he made his debut at 230. We've seen him in the mid-250s. So these are guys who have changed weights throughout their professional careers. They're both relatively young guys. Perhaps they've just thickened out, strengthened, become naturally bigger as they've aged in the professional ranks. I think that's very possible. But I do think weight will play an influence in their styles, in their output, in their movement, mobility, agility, explosiveness, and I think it is good for the fight that they both come in at their respective weights. So yeah, what can I say? All in all, obviously I'm excited for this fight. This is a fight that I've been talking about on YouTube for many, many years indeed, and we're now one day away from it. And this weigh-in only served to get me even more excited for it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please hit thumbs up, please hit subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for tuning in.